Only One. What does that title mean to you? If I told you I'm going to listen to a song called Only One, where would your mind go? Citizen Soldier has a song, Only One, and I'm going to check it out with you today. Shout out goes to Caleb. Thank you for your support on my Buy Me a Coffee page. I was asked to do Only One. I have no idea what it's about. I've reacted to several Citizen Soldier songs on this channel, so go check them out if you like. They're an amazing band that mixes rock with mental health. You ready? Here we go.
Self-neglect so I can stay accepted. It's a vicious cycle, never learn my lesson.
I gotta say, as often as I think, well, maybe this one's gonna be similar to the last, they come up with a new concept. I love how they talk about how they blend music with mental health. And every single song is a different topic that would be something that could come up in therapy or that people are dealing with, struggling with in their lives.
It's a vicious cycle, never learn my lesson. I'm bad at boundaries, I'm bad at love. I'll beat me down just to lift you up. I stay exhausted cause that's required. Damn, I'm tired. There's only one of me. I can't do everything. I wanna be enough but don't know how, because I'm always letting someone down. Only one of me. I'm tearing at my seams. I'm stuck in place no matter where I run, and I can't take another day. I'm done. There's only one. There's only one of me. I can't do everything. There's only one of me. I can't do everything. People pleasing is what gives me purpose.
These lyrics are relatable, you guys. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad for therapy and for years that have helped me get better at this. But there are so many times that I felt like this. Only one of me. And I pleased and I said yes to opportunities to serve and help and give because I thought that's who I had to be. And there's such freedom when you learn to accept yourself. And when you learn that the things that we thought are important are maybe not that important after all. And it takes a lot of work to filter through the voices and to realize that maybe we're not letting everybody down, that it's okay to say no. But that takes time and healing and work. And a lot of me can relate to a lot of this because that was me for a long time.
It is what gives me
Sometimes still struggle with it, but I've gotten way better. You guys, can you relate to that? Let me know in the comments.
purpose. If I say no, then I forget what worth is.
We see that link here. Identity. He said something similar earlier. That's my purpose and my worth. If you feel like doing everything for everyone, being everything to everyone is your purpose and worth, and yes, when you start saying no to people or you can't do it all anymore, you start feeling like you're failing or like you're worthless because we've tied our sense of self to performance, to achieving.
If I say no, then I forget what worth is. I'm bad at boundaries, I'm bad at love. I tear apart everything I touch. It's second nature, it's how I'm wired. Damn, I'm tired. There's only one of me. I can't do everything. I wanna be enough but don't know how, because I'm always letting someone down.
That part I would be interested to talk about. Who are we letting down? If that's the voice in our mind, who are we letting down? Who's telling us that we're letting them down? Or where is that voice coming from? What is happening in our lives that we are storying to ourselves, that we are concluding, I'm letting everyone down? I think this is your answer is going to vary person to person. I'd be curious if you can relate to this song. What is it for you? If you want to share, where does that come from for you? What do you think? To think that you're letting people down? Have people actually told you this? Or is it just that internal voice, that internal fear? And where does that come from? What are the things that have informed that conclusion?
And do everything. I wanna be enough, but don't know how. Because I'm always letting someone down. Only one of me.
The harmonies are beautiful here.
And my seams. I'm stuck in place no matter where I run. And I can't take another day, I'm done. Every disappointed face carved a tapestry into my brain. And I'm locked inside the gallery of everything that I can't pay.
So we're getting to some of those answers I was just asked, to the questions I was just asking. So it's disappointed faces that have made me conclude I'm not doing something right.
The gallery of everything that I can't pay. Looking for an exit out, 'cause they're all that I can think about. These masterpieces made of doubt will bleed me out until I drown. Self-neglect so I can stay accepted. It's a vicious cycle, never learn my lesson. There's only one of me. I can't do everything. I wanna be enough, but don't know how. Because I'm always letting someone down. Only one of me. I'm tearing at my seams. I'm stuck in place no matter where I run. And I can't take another day, I'm done. There's only one. There's only one of me. I can't do everything. One. There's only one of me. I can't do everything.
I really appreciate how Citizen Soldier, again and again, subscribe to them if you haven't yet, and subscribe here too if you like, how they keep addressing various conversations in their lyrics, things that real life issues, struggles that come up with people in their songs. Every song feeling like a different therapy session of something that a patient may have said or has struggled with. And I love that because everyone is going through their own thing, and one song may relate to one person more and another may relate to somebody else more, but it's real and it's authentic. And I think a lot of people can relate to all of the song, if not parts of it. I can relate to the part about feeling like my purpose is to people please, and where my worth, my identity would be tied to that. And sometimes I did it so much I didn't even realize just how much my identity was tied to it. I was driven by fear of failing or fear of not being enough, or proving that I wanted to be enough to earn someone's love or approval, to be the way that I appear, wanting to come across as I'm unique, I'm good enough. And when you learn to connect your identity to being what other people expect you to be, it's so exhausting to uphold that. Because of fear of what it's going to look like when that comes crumbling down, when people see you can't be all or you can't do it all. And I think this is something interesting that I talked about in a conversation with therapist and author Clint Davis. Go check his podcast out. We did a reaction to a lot of NF's work together, so check those out if you like. But go check out his podcast. And he said some really interesting things that stuck with me when we spoke. Even after our interview, we spoke about just different life situations and how there's power in looking at, and I'm going to paraphrase in my own words what he said, when we look at what we're storying to ourselves ultimately, what do I conclude? What does this mean? When I look at certain situations in my life, events that have happened, conversations I've had, things that have done or been done to me, and I ask myself, what does this mean for me? What does this mean right now, the here and now? Of course, there's a time and a place to look into the past and go analyze our relationship with our parents, and it can be helpful to look at past traumas, triggers, and roots of things. It could be good to journal of the things we want to accomplish for the future, set goals, have a vision, right? Everything is part of the healing journey. And also, there's a time and a place for us to look at the here and now and for me to assess, what does this say about me right now? If I think that, for example, as we saw in the song, this person looked disappointed, this hurting heart, this hurting soul interpreted that disappointed facial expression as they're disappointed with him. And it's just proof, another block of evidence in his mind, in the story he's already telling himself, that he is not enough. There's only one of me. I can't do everything. I'm going to bleed out. He sees an disappointed face of another person, and that stories that to himself. I think a lot of people, I'm thinking right now, even a lot of men can relate to that, with the burden they bear of trying to provide, trying to be all things to their spouse, to their families, be a good father, be a good husband, often not having gotten that from their own fathers, as an example. And they're holding it all together. And I, especially because this was sung by a man, I can picture a lot of men right now, but I know men and women can relate to this. Many men, many women too, of course, and mothers who feel like they're carrying it all, many women who think they're doing it all on their own. But right now I want to focus on the men for a second, because I can see, again, because this was sung by a man, I picture a man who can relate to this, sitting in his home saying, yeah, there's only one of me. I'm trying, and it's not enough. My wife's complaining, my kids are complaining. I'm failing as a man. I'm not man enough. And I know that there's so many people, men and women, who feel that isolation. And then we perceive our environment through that lens, and we use that as evidence for the conclusion we've already drawn. Someone looks disappointed, it must be in me. And I think sometimes we forget that relationships are complex, and they may be disappointed in me, but it could also be a whole host of other things. They may be disappointed in the situation. They may feel guilty because of something else that they did or think that we don't even know. People will do things, and we often forget that it says more about them than it does us. I could look at you a certain way, and you might think I'm mad at you, and I may very well be. I'm not. But chances are that I'm just tired. Maybe the light is so bright in the studio right now, right? We often forget that there's so much more to the truth. You know the saying, there's two sides and then the truth. I think there's multiple sides, multiple angles. That's why people can be so easily riled up and polarized, because they'll show us the angle they want us to see, because they know what we will conclude without having seen all sides to the coin. You might see me look in a certain way thinking what's wrong with her, and not realizing, oh, there's a light behind this camera that's really bright and it's making her eyes tired. There's things that I carry that you don't know about, but inform where my mind goes when I listen to a song, and vice versa. You'll hear this song and your mind will go somewhere else, and you might even judge me for where my mind went, because we're not in each other's heads. And we have to remember that where I end, you begin. Where you begin, I end. And while we're connected as human beings, what you say, think, feel about me has everything to do with you. It's your lens. Doesn't mean you're wrong for it. It just means it's your lens. And vice versa. The things I say have everything to do with me. And I think that there is power in having songs like this. And that's why I really appreciate Citizen Soldier for doing this continually, where we can have honest conversations about that, where we can be honest and sit with our pain and express how we're feeling. Many people, like I said, I know can relate to this, and they can say, yes, this is me. There's only one of me. And then I'd like for us to let that be a conversation starter, for us to start asking, what does this mean for me and about me? Like Clint Davis says, or like my husband so often wisely says, what am I storying to myself in this? You know, and to understand that what a person does, even if they look disappointed, has everything to do with them. And that I think there's beauty in having conversations like this, and then slowing down long enough to say, okay, what is my identity based on? And if it is based on people pleasing, if it is based on being all things to everyone, where did that come from? When did that start? Who told me I had to be like that? When did I start telling myself that? And reframing, and maybe first of all, unboxing a lot of that, and then reframing what our identity really is about and who we really are supposed to be. And then over time, and I know this takes hard work and time, starting to assess what is really necessary. Who am I really meant to be? And understanding that the things that you choose, you are not meant to be. If someone does say, yes, you are, that it's your right, your God-given right to say, no, I can't carry that. I will not take that on. And that takes, of course, healing journey and relationship, community, therapy, ideally, someone you can talk to and work through with these things, where you can start prioritizing Because every yes to one thing is a no to something else. I think for us people pleasers, we also tend to forget that. We think we're doing it all and that we're being everything to everyone. And there's only one of me, right? But every time we say yes to something, we are saying no to something else. It's an active choice. So the 20,000 things you did today were still a no to 20,000 other alternatives. And you get to decide. We have to come to a point where we look at our life and we understand it's short. And what are those 20,000 things going to be? Is there a way to narrow them down to 10,000? Is there a way to narrow them down to 10? 10 things today that are important to me, and to prioritize those. And then to learn to love ourselves enough that we can confidently say, yes, that was my choice. This is what I think is important. This is what I want to be today as a mother, as a wife, as a woman, as a worker, as an employee or an employer. And then tomorrow we can reframe and pick 10 other things. But yes, there is only one of you, and we can reframe if we're going to look at that as a burden. There's only one of me. I can't possibly do everything. Or reframe that and say, there's only one of me. I am one of a kind. There's only one just like me. And I get to decide what I'm going to do with my time and what my values are and how I want to love people best. And it is not up to other people to say if you are being the best human you can be, the best you can be. There's only one of you. That means you are uniquely you. You're not supposed to be like the person next door that you think is so wonderful, because chances are they're struggling with the exact same thing. There's only one of you. You are amazing. You are loved. You are enough. And you get to decide who you want to be. I think that there's something so beautiful about having music like this that gets us to explore and talk about things we might not otherwise. What does this song mean to you in this band? Talk to me in the comments. If you would, subscribe to, like, comment, share the video. You know the drill. And I will see you on the next ride. Ayo!